Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm clean shaven. Have you noticed that? Short haircut, and the reason for that is I am headed on a road trip tomorrow. Um, I have a van, a Sprinter van that I travel in with my dog. So and you might find this crazy but interesting, but you know, prior to my campaigning, I would fly 100,000 miles a year. Since COVID, I've been on a domestic U.S. flight once. So since February 2020, I've been on a domestic U.S. flight one time, and so I travel around in this van I bought, and so I can bring my dog with me. Plus, I want to avoid all the craziness of what goes on in airports and airplanes because of COVID. And at any rate, so I'm going on a road trip. Um, I am heading to Fort Sill, Oklahoma tomorrow. Take me probably 3 days to get there. My youngest son is a second lieutenant in the Army. He graduated from West Point in May, and he's going to field artillery school in Oklahoma at Fort Sill. So I'm going down to see him, spend Thanksgiving with him, and then I'm going to go to Florida, which is why I'm calling this the Trump road trip. So, a couple things I want to talk about tonight. I mean, last night's Facebook Live, I got some really interesting comments, some of which I'm going to address tonight because I think it plays right in to the topic of this, and the topic of, and I ain't switching horses, and I'll talk some more about that. But Ginger, I hope you watch this. Ginger sent me a comment. She's very upset with me. I know Ginger. And I mean, she said some nasty things there. I can just tell you, Ginger, they're not true. The stuff you said about Sununu. I mean, I don't need any favors from anybody. And I think I've talked to Sununu once in the last 9 months. But Ginger, I still like you. I think you're awesome, Ginger, despite the nasty comments. When I see you again, I will give you a big hug, just like I always have. But it really brings up those comments, Ginger, the purpose of this Facebook Live, and that is, and I ain't switching horses. Now, we all know that comment, or if you don't know, that comment came from a primary debate when Don Bolduc was asked about the letter he signed saying that the 2020 election was stolen, and he said, I stand by it, and I ain't switching horses. And we all know now that a month later he switched horses. Well, the point of that I want to make tonight is our dedication, our commitment as conservative Republicans ought to be to conservative causes. It ought to be to conservative policies. It ought to be to Republicans, especially those who are conservatives. All right. So let's not switch horses from our policies. All right, Ginger, we ought to be focused on committed to Republicans and conservatives. And guess what? There's going to be times when there's a Republican who's not as conservative as we like that we ought to support, because we're better off supporting a Republican than a Democrat. So let's not switch horses from our party or our policies or our ideology. All right. That's where we ought to be focused, not on a particular candidate, not on a person. We've got to get out of that cultish behavior. It's not good. It is not good for us. And we're so listen, we need to, and I've got some other comments, and we need to learn from this election that just happened. If we want to preserve conservative principles, if we want to preserve, the American dream and protect the Constitution, this is about those things. It's not about any particular person. And I know there's many of you out there, I can tell by the comments, that love Don Bolduc, and God bless you for being passionate. I'm not saying don't be passionate for him, but ultimately this is about the party. This is about being a conservative. This is about protecting the Constitution. And I'm tired of the rhino stuff. It is, listen, there's a political spectrum. And as my son says, it's really a circle. I'll talk about that someday. And there's some on that spectrum that are more conservative than others. And that's just the way life is. But when you don't support a Republican because it's not the right person, you're supporting the Democrat then. Is that what you want to do? I don't think so. So that's a lesson that we need to learn from this. And the reason I bring up Trump is some of you may have seen, and I think I mentioned this last night. I was on Chris Ryan's radio show Wednesday. We were talking about the election. And yes, I was probably the only person who accurately predicted the outcome of the U.S. Senate race because I studied a lot of stuff. But that's an entirely other point. But I also said on Wednesday that I felt like Donald Trump was weighing down the Republican Party. And listen, I'm saying this as someone who was endorsed by Donald Trump in 2020, and I was incredibly thankful for that endorsement. I am thankful for it today. And those of you who heard me talk in 2020, and I was asked about Donald Trump, you know what I would say? Policy over personality. Yeah, so I'm passionate about American first policies. Most of which I agree with, some I disagree with. So it is about policy. It is about what we want to do to preserve America. It's not about a person. And Donald Trump, the person, is hurting the Republican Party, in my opinion. I mean, he took away attention from candidates, during the election Tuesday by having that rally Monday night. And the same thing, Ginger, applies to Don Bolduc in New Hampshire. It's about what we believe. It's not about a person. And listen, I just hope Don has lost twice now. He lost to me in 2020 and he lost on Tuesday. I sure hope he doesn't become the Beto O'Rourke of New Hampshire and keeps running and losing. So we need to focus on, how do we win elections so that we can inch forward on moving our policies forward. Listen, folks, I'll just tell you, this is politics, and we are not going to wave a magic wand and suddenly have people in power who are going to implement all conservative policies immediately. That's just not how it works. You know, this is step by step by step. And what we are doing as Republicans is we go a step forward and a half a step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back, because we get so caught up in this personality stuff. And it's a huge mistake. So listen, we're better off with a moderate Republican in power than a Democrat. And we have to realize that. And too often, if our person isn't the one, then we attack that person in the middle of an election. That's what happened to me. And we have to stop it. Look at this political environment was as good as it could be for Republicans. And we did horribly nationally. We did horribly in New Hampshire. And we need to realize that. And all you folks out there who, send me nasty messages, I don't care. I can handle that. I interacted with one person, and I'm trying to find his name now. Oh, gee. Is it you, Paul? Oh, let me check my emails, because he emailed me. I asked him to email me. No, David Russell. David, I will call you tomorrow. I asked him to email me with his number, and I'll call him. We had a productive interaction, and that's good and that's healthy, without this, this insulting meanness. We got to stop it. If we want to win elections, we have to stop it. All right, and listen, it's, literally. Sometimes things happen at a time when they, the timing couldn't be more perfect. And I was going to talk about this. And what I mean by not switching horses, by the way, is let's not switch horses from our policies. And when you stick with a person who's going to lose, you're running the risk of cutting the legs out of the horse of your policies. But anyway, back to this timing point. Sure enough, I'm here. I'm sort of getting my thoughts together for this Facebook Live. And, I'm looking on the internet here, and what pops up? A statement from Trump. Just now, it was issued tonight, where he's attacking Ron DeSantis. I mean, what in the world is Trump doing? Ron DeSantis, Ron DeSantis, just won a 20-point victory in Florida. 20 points. And not only that, he turned Florida deep, deep, deep red. And Donald Trump is out attacking him because he's afraid DeSantis is going to run for president? What in the world? What in the world? Is going, it's just, let's be team players. All right. Let's, I just got to tell you, this guy, what's his name? Carlton Cooper. Hey, Carlton, email me, corkymessner@gmail.com. See if you have the courage to do that, or you're going to keep posting stupid stuff on Facebook. But this is the kind of stuff, so America First agenda, that's the horse I don't want to switch from, and what Donald Trump is doing is he's undermining his own agenda. And we have to focus on policy, Ginger. We have to focus on winning and not on any one person. You know, so at any rate, you know, and there's so much to learn from this election. I got a message today from, I think it was that Paul is the one who sent it to me, you know, and I explained to him, listen, man, this is, you know, we are in it's like a football team, right? You know, what do professional football teams do the day after their football game? You know what they do? They go in, they get treatments because their bodies are beat up. But the other thing they do is they sit down and they watch film of the game from the day before. And they watch the film to find out the mistakes they made and how to improve. And that's what we need to do right now. You know, and the reason we need to do it now is memories will fade. If we wait a week, if we wait a month, if we wait 2 months, our memories will fade from this election. And we'll miss out on lessons. You know, so now's the time to look in the mirror, reflect. What can we do better? How can we turn New Hampshire deep red like what's happened in Florida? And listen, make no mistake. Make no mistake. You know, think about this. We have a very popular governor, super popular governor. You know, just got reelected in a landslide, big, for his 4th term. Florida has a very popular governor, got reelected in a landslide. And Florida turned red, and we're struggling here. You know, our state house barely has a majority. You know, and there's, I don't know, 6 or 8 recounts because some of these races were like 1 vote, 6 votes. And we lost all the federal elections. You know, when we have a super popular governor. Now, I don't agree with everything Sununu does. I don't agree with everything he does. But how do we come together, put our differences aside during an election to leverage that popularity to turn New Hampshire deep red and win some of these federal elections? You know, and that's why we got to look in the mirror. You know, and I'll tell you one way we don't do it. You know, we don't have a U.S. Senate candidate running around calling the most popular politician in this state a Chinese Communist Party sympathizer. That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy. So that's why we need to reflect and learn from this, Ginger. And I still like you, Ginger, even though you said the gloves off. I don't know what the hell that means. But anyway, so tonight, and I ain't switching horses. And what I mean by that is I'm sticking with the policies that I believe in. I believe in the Constitution. I believe in the power of an American. There's no greater power than an American unleashed by liberty and unburdened by government. I believe in a small government. I believe in a strong military. And I'm sticking on that horse. And it doesn't matter who the person is. And yes, there's going to be times where I'm going to have to help somebody who doesn't believe exactly all those things as I do. But it's better than having a Democrat. So at any rate, that's it tonight, folks. I hope you pay attention. And Ginger, give me a call, send me an email. I think you have my number. I'm glad to talk to you. And I'll be on my road trip starting tomorrow. So I'm going to do some of these from the road. So God bless you. And and let's bring it together and get ready for 2024. Bye-bye.